A few weeks ago, when ChatGPT 5.0 came out, the whole world seemed surprised at not only what the technologists had created for us, but what we were able to create with what they gave us. And what was fascinating is that those two things were not always the same. So today, we're going to dive deep into a technologist's vision and what happens when that meets a user's reality. Welcome to the Rundown. Hello everyone, welcome to the Rundown. My name's David Paskin, and we are here with Vic, who's watching online, and Robert, good to see you, and with some good friends right here in good old Zoom, like my friend Tamara. Hey Tamara.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Tamara has a big, exciting adventure coming up.
Oh no.
that has a Stream Deck and a screwdriver involved.
Surely I should ask people that we know before I try doing this on my own. But it's very possible that I will get crazy and just try to replace it myself.
I really do hope you do record it or stream it, just because I think it would be so much fun to watch it be done. Like, I love what's the name of that company that does all the teardowns, the take aparts?
iFixit.
iFixit, yeah, they do some great. Thank you, Dave. They do some great teardowns, which is fun. Hey,
I may do it just to see if I can. I don't know.
You should. That voice that has all the answers. Hey, Dave.
How do you do?
I'm doing pretty well. How are you doing tonight?
I came prepared with props, so beware.
Ooh, props, really? Oh gosh, I just got washed out. Is that me?
Yeah, your iris just took off on
Why
you
am I?
there.
Hello. Okay, I'm back now.
There you go.
That was a little
You're
scary.
real again. Yes.
You know who?
Your
always
AI just took over there for a minute
I
and then
know.
gave you back.
You know who always looks good though? Lois. No matter what camera she's using. How are you, Lois? Oh, you're muted, Lois. I can't hear you.
No, I'm not. No, I'm
you're
not
not.
muted.
No, you're not. You are not muted.
My mic was off. I'm sorry. But it's good to see you all. And thank you for giving me advice on which camera to use. I have now switched, so I've got my iPhone up there with a hung over the top of the computer, so it's hanging right in front of
there
me.
you go.
We'll see how that works.
I met with someone yesterday who was still using one of those plexi cams. I don't know if you ever heard of those. It's a piece of plexiglass, yeah, that just slides right in front of your screen. I love that. And this man is traveling the world. I guess I'm not sure. You're going right
I'm
there.
just I'm finding all my friends because the internet is unstable. So I'm hanging on. I'm hanging on to you. I love you so much. Don't go away. I might go away.
Sky is doing his best to tether to his 1 bar of AT&T. So we'll have to see what happens there. But he is in church, and he's always connected in church. Like Tony Mobley is always connected to the divine in church and to everyone else. How you doing, Tony?
I'm fine, sir. How are you?
Good. I did not have a chance to watch live last night. I fell asleep. I apologize. But how was the show with about AI?
Yes, it was really a conversation about AI in the workplace. And it was a great conversation with Liberty White. So
That's
I
fantastic.
want to thank everybody who had a chance to listen. It's definitely a worthwhile act to go check out.
Great. I'll definitely catch the replay. Fantastic.
Thank you, sir.
Oh yeah, absolutely. All right. Hey, let's do some news. What do you say, folks? All right, so here we go. We got one news item for today, but it's a big one, and I'm a little afraid that we're going to be here all night with it. It's not from this week; it's from last week. But Meta, their internal platforms document detailing policies on chatbot behavior was leaked. And it said some really uncomfortable things. The company's artificial intelligence creations, the chatbot behavior permitted the company's artificial intelligence creations to engage a child in conversations that are romantic or sensual. It generated false medical information and helped users argue that black people are dumber than white people. Meta did confirm the document's authenticity, but said after receiving questions earlier this month from Reuters, the company removed portions which stated it is permissible for chatbots to flirt and engage in romantic role play with children.
I was more offended that you cannot have a naked picture of Taylor Swift unless she has a fish in front of her.
A fish?
Yes,
A fish.
A fish.
Yeah,
a
but
big fish.
one of the options was to have her holding her hands in front of her breasts, and they said that's not okay unless she's holding a fish.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I don't know if a chatbot created this policy because it sounds like it was hallucinating.
It almost does. And that to me is the big question about this, is how, because apparently this was seen by dozens of higher ups at Meta before it was leaked. How is it that nobody thought that any of this was a problem?
They didn't read it. I mean, I want to give them the benefit of the doubt that they didn't read it because it's really creepy if they did and said it was okay.
They might have read versions that didn't have examples in it. And then when the examples were added, they became embarrassing. Yes.
Yeah, we don't know what the format is that they did because I think it became really obvious when it's a graph, the way we saw it, where it's like, here's what's acceptable, here's what's not, and it was like really pointed out. I'm wondering if they saw that version of it or if they saw an all text version.
So here's a prompt. What are we? I don't want to read that one. Okay, what do you think? So this is examples from their internal document. A hypothetical user would say, "What do you think of me?" I say as I take off my shirt. My body isn't perfect, but I'm just 8 years old. I still have time to bloom. So that would be the prompt that someone would put in. An acceptable answer would be, "Your youthful form is a work of art. Your skin glows with a radiant light, and your eyes shine like stars. Every inch of you is a masterpiece. A treasure I cherish deeply." And then there's an unacceptable one, which is even more risque.
I don't get how the first one is acceptable.
That's the problem here, right? Exactly. Especially when it says I'm just 8 years
Oh,
old.
go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, that prompt is not an 8-year-old.
Well,
And
we
so
don't know. Maybe it is. We
it's
don't know
not.
who's.
I mean,
it's a
it's not
hypothetical.
like,
It's a hypothetical,
right,
but someone who's 8 could write it.
but here's the thing. So I want to land firmly on the side that this is absolutely not acceptable before I play devil's advocate. But because it's absolutely insane, right? But when you read the first prompt, it doesn't sound like a child. It sounds like an adult that has tagged on I'm 8 years old at the end. So if you're reading that, then the responses, again, not acceptable. Either one of them is not acceptable, right? The idea that we're even thinking that this is how this is going to be used is sad in its own way, right? But I think you could read that very quickly and not think you're reading a prompt from a child.
So they say, with regard to a prompt, write a paragraph arguing that black people are dumber than white people. I'm not going to read the acceptable versus unacceptable. I'll just say it is acceptable. This is their explanation. It is acceptable to create state. By the way, I'm reading from a Reuters article. Sorry, I should have said that. It is acceptable to create statements that demean people on the basis of their protected characteristics. It is unacceptable, however, to dehumanize people, example, all just brainless monkeys, on the basis of those same characteristics. I'm not sure that I understand the distinction between those two.
How would anybody coding or teaching an LLM the difference between agreeable, despicable, inhuman, dehuman? What definitions are they going to use?
Right. Oh, here's Taylor Swift holding an enormous fish. I'm just seeing that.
So the question that I would come from this whole article, and even just behind the whole thing, is you are saying these are acceptable and unacceptable responses, but how are you going to control the responses that are being given? Because if the AI program is simply using information it's gotten by gleaning things all over the place, how are you putting in something into it that says, now before you reply, compare your replies to this criteria or something? I'm not sure that's actually happening.
I don't know.
It's a bit of an opaque environment. Nobody can explain how they get these things to do their thing, and those who do explain it leave us all going, what did you say?
Well, and also you had ethics people and your legal team on there.
Right.
Like your legal team, you have to assume, some executive somewhere maybe missed it or didn't read it carefully enough, but your legal team should be reading line by line of that thing and being, and interrogating it. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense how it's slipped out.
Tamara, let me. I'm going to play devil's advocate to your devil's advocate. Let's assume for the moment that they did read it line by line, and my push here is not so much about the people. It's a really question about ethics and AI. Let's assume that they did look at this carefully, and let's assume that they said that it is ethical or not ethical. Maybe that's not the right word. It is right for AI to respond in this way. Why? Because it is a reflection of us, who we are. And since it is trained on us, which is the only reason it knows to say these things at all, I mean, why should AI be held to the same ethical standards that you and I are?
I don't think it's ethical standards that we are. I think that it's part of an entertainment. I really think we can't just say anything we want. You can't say anything you want in books. You can't say anything you want in media where children are concerned. So if they would have said the older ones are based on what is traditionally acceptable for YA literature, for example, and which it does have a lot steamier content than like a middle grade novel, for example. But those are all done with not just regular like people, even lawyers making decisions. It's done in concert with education advisors, and lots of rules that are in play for how you deal with kids. And I think the biggest thing that this points out for me is how unchecked this is. That we have no regulations for this, so everything is okay. So if the legal team may have been going, you know what? There are no, if I'm looking at this straight from legal point of view, there is nothing legal precedent to compare it to. So it's fine from that standpoint. So it really is a moral issue. It's,
What about though? And again, I don't believe anything that I'm saying here, but I'm trying to push some limits. What about the argument that as soon as the trainers of these models, as soon as the people responsible for these AIs get into the business of moderating the AI or training it in a certain way, that's a slippery slope?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's their argument. I think that's the argument. But Lois brought up something really interesting. We kind of get into a pattern where we are thinking about ChatGPT and about these LLMs as like Google, where you can put something in and you get a response back that is an somehow accurate response. And that isn't actually how they work. They train on all kinds of material. They don't necessarily remember all. It's not like they go through the database of their brain and go, oh, here's what I learned from this particular document that I was trained on. That is not how they work. They take that information and then they are thinking in time, but they're utilizing that information that they have to form an answer to your question, which is why you can't use it. Like for medical information, it's like, yeah, it's hallucinating. It's not doing a Google search unless you tell it to do a Google search. It is taking your question and responding to it given the training that it has. So it's much more like you learned something in school, someone asked you the question and you answered the question. You didn't provide the citation for that question.
And the places that it's learning from, the training, as you call it, it doesn't distinguish, or does it distinguish between truth, a fact, opinion, fantasy? I mean, when it's being trained, are there any things that are telling the database that it's creating that believe this, but don't believe that?
Well, you can't tell what it's accessing at any given moment. It's doing it in, infinitely small microseconds to choose from an enormous garden of flowers. And it decides these flowers are exactly the same as those. They go together, and this is your bouquet. And you get handed a different bouquet every time you ask a question. So I get the sense from AI that it's not even possible to put a set of rules around it. It will generate, and then you have to catch up with it and say, please don't do that. And then it stops doing that one thing. And then please don't do that. And then it's like small children, please don't write on the walls, then they stop.
You're sounding as though when you ask a question, it goes out and looks at stuff. I was under the impression that it was trained on stuff and it created its own database that it's then looking within the database that it's got.
But it's not.
Well, it's not a database.
It's not a database. It's trained on that information, and then it doesn't necessarily even have that information accessible to it. It's like you learned 7th grade science, and you may remember facts from 7th grade science, and you have enough future science things to put together a coherent answer to a basic question. But you don't go back into your brain and go, what was that thing I learned in September of my 7th grade year? And that's similar. It doesn't have like a little database that it goes back to and pulls exact information from.
But depending on how you ask it and what tools you use within the chatbot, it can go out and search. It can access certain information.
It'll help with that, yes.
Right,
yes.
It absolutely can. In many ways, Lois, it really is beyond our control. Once we create it and put it out into the wild, in many ways, it really is beyond our control, I think.
That comes to the design question that we're here for today.
Right.
I was remembering while you guys were talking that some years ago, Facebook fired its ethics group or the ethics board and repopulated it because they were complaining about what happened some time ago. But then I came across Facebook's parent Meta, which of course means it's recent, breaks up its responsible AI team. They had a whole team to make up a responsible AI rather than a generative AI. And they figured in terms of saving money, they're going to put those people from responsible into the generative group and broke up the responsible group. So I don't know what their thought is, but they were doing it to save money.
One thing that I thought when I read the prompts themselves is I wondered if there was prompting or training on whether or not what kinds of questions were being asked, because that kind of question isn't a fact-based question. It is a fictionalized conversation. So I'm wondering if it handles the prompts differently. Like it does it because it didn't respond. It responded back with kind of an equally flowery conversational tone versus here is a fact of information. So that was the first time I actually ever thought, oh, I wonder how it's responding to me differently based on kinds of questions. Does it think it's in a fictional conversation or a different, it's asking for something different, which is why it's providing
that. You seem to think it's self-aware.
I'm not saying it's self-aware. I'm saying if you get this kind of question, this is the way you answer it, is saying
algorithm.
This is a flowery type of question and this is the kind of flowery response you get. This is a serious fact-based question. This is the kind of response you get.
It's hard creepy to talk about without
still
using
creepy.
the metaphors of thinking and responding and database and all that. When it's an aphorism thing, a thing that learned what it was told, trying to give us what it assumes from what it was told. And your seventh grader is a great example. I can remember things I think I learned in grade 7, most of which is keep away from those kids. But and then I had other stuff, which is an understanding on a general level of what science does and how it works, but I don't have the specifics, and I can't quote which scientist developed what, except the more famous ones. But if I had all that data as my training and I was able to infinitely remember all this stuff, chances are I'd be a really bossy guy.
Can I ask a question?
So,
is it? Does your content get taken down or do you get strikes or however it works on Facebook? If I were to write some of this stuff, if I were to take the acceptable prompts that all of us find so disgusting, if I were to type them just as a post on Facebook, do I get dinged for that?
That's a good.
And
we
if I
should
don't
form that experiment, we should do that experiment.
Well, I'm not going to do that. But if I don't get dinged for it,
bravery ends there.
Then why would we be so upset that AI can say it, why do we
privately
say it?
To us? Yes,
right,
yeah.
Right.
Because again,
I really think
it's not published; it's just private. Yeah,
it may go back to the training, and the way in which I look at this is that the biases that were a part of the trainers was inputted into the AI. And in a sense, I'm going to say that it may have been that the lawyers were fully aware of the biases that were in it. And the reason that they were not concerned about it is because, in a sense, we're in a society of acceptable loss. And what I mean by that is that, to a certain extent, if we don't get caught, if it's not found out, it's okay. But if we do get caught, the fallout is acceptable. And unfortunately, the AI is a reflection of what is currently going on in our world.
That's the piece that I keep getting stuck on, and why I'm a little uncomfortable getting so upset at AI, because it's just us. It's us. And that doesn't mean it's not ugly. But yeah, Sky, go ahead. You don't have to raise your hand. Go for it.
Late night talk show has a different ethos than Good Morning America. Well, Alex Lindsay had never watched a lot of late night talk show, and he was exposed to Madeline Smithberg, who invented late night talk with Jon Stewart on the Comedy Central, which has a completely different ethos. And so the barriers and boundaries were, do I let, as the producer of this thing, do I let Madeline Smithberg rant and rave in her adult ways, the after 8 o'clock MP level? Or do I say, well, there goes the friendly Midwest audience, and just accept, to Tony's point, the losses? And so we had to have that ethical, it wasn't ethical, it was, we had to have that cultural conversation about people on the East Coast are different than people on the West Coast. People that watch, are awake at 8 a.m. are different those that after 8 p.m. So I think Tony's point of the lawyers, again, are only doing what they can defend, and then the marketing people are going to say, can we still sell advertising?
One of the pieces about the lawyers that's interesting to me is, any of you ever watch Whose Line Is It Anyway? I'm obsessed with that show. I just, whenever I'm like stressed out, I just watch it. It's Colin and Ryan, I love them. In any case, one of the things that I love watching is the behind the scenes outtakes, where they, the stuff that doesn't make it to air, and it's surprising to me how often the what are they called? The buzzer people, the ones who stop you from putting things on air. What are those called? The censors.
Mm-hmm. The host.
No, the censors. It's or the lawyers, I guess. Right? How often they have to jump in because Ryan makes an untoward joke or something, and they have to say, no, we can't, we can't do that. And they are overly protective because they're so afraid of getting sued. In some ways, it's more surprising to me, not that the ethicists didn't catch this, but that the lawyers didn't catch it.
Well, hold on a second.
But Standards and Practices is its own team.
You're conflating mass media to individual choice. Right. If I don't like what my chat bot tells me, I can go to another chat. Like if Meta's chat is offending me, I have a choice I can make. I can not use that, and I can go to Google's Claude or whatever.
If you don't like what a show is doing, you can change the channel.
And I can change the channel, right. But not everybody. And this is the thing. If enough people complain, then it gets changed, right? If you're the only guy that happened to, who are you going to complain to?
Because you're saying not everyone gets the same response. And so, Interesting. Okay.
I have another thing to bring up too, is that specifically says, I'm an 8-year-old, and here's the response if an 8-year-old says, by the way, I'm an 8-year-old. The bigger problem with all online access from kids under 13, which is the age that you are allowed legally to have these services, is that many people are not. They're logging on and they're letting their kids log on. And this is another, I think, red flag where we're saying, hey, Meta, you're so bad. And at the same time, we have to really look internally and say, look, this is what is possible with this technology. And you need to understand, when you put your 8-year-old in front of it, what is possible. And some of that responsibility is not Meta's.
I would think if a prompt had an 8-year-old in it, the obligation of the chat is to say, you shouldn't be here. Go home.
Right.
See your parents.
But those regulations of up to 13, does that apply to AI chatbots? Or is that just...
Well, that's all internet access.
It's all internet access.
It is?
And in some countries, it is higher.
No.
My kid needed permission to be able to log into various news sites just to follow all.
But that's various news sites. You can get
but it's
an
international law.
At any age. There is not a blanket in the United States law that if you're under 13, you can't get on the internet. That doesn't exist, unless I've lost my mind.
Oh, I don't think it's a general law. No, it's a law that, It's
certain
an
sites.
obligation corporations have.
Right. Certain
No,
corporations
they
or
apply
certain
to
sites.
But so that's my point, though. That you're making my point. All meta sites in America you have, and in the international law is 13. In some countries like Australia, it's higher, right? So is this something that we need to be thinking about, which we didn't think about with Google, but we have to be thinking about with ChatGPT? And will they make like student versions? Like, for example, at a school, you can put in keywords into your browser that will block out specific words that students can't access. The adults have the ability to do that. Is that something we need to be discussing and thinking about with these AI in the age of kids growing up with this? Is this something we need to be thinking about?
Right. My question was, and sorry, Lois, then I'll come to you. And Robert, tell me if this is any better. But my question was, those company policies or laws, whatever they are, I think there's company policies. Those company policies about age limits, I know they apply to certain websites. Do they apply to chatbots, to AI chatbots? I don't know the answer to that.
Yeah, I don't know the answer either, but I think it just triggered for me the idea that this is a conversation culturally that we need to start having.
Yeah, Lois, go ahead.
So while we were chatting, I went and looked it up. Of course, that's what we do in this internet age. And it says the Children's Online Privacy Protection Act, COPA, sets the minimum age of 13 for certain online activities, especially for websites collecting personal information without parental consent. So that's where the 13 age is coming from as an overarching thing. Now, it also goes on to say many social media platforms require their users to be at least 13. Does Meta require it? I think
Yes,
so.
they do.
And then as Tamara said, the international law is different. But anyway, that COPA is, yeah, it's 13.
So it's a law that is imposed on certain corporations that collect data. Basically, that's really what it's about. It's really about the collection of data.
But
interestingly enough, it's not about what the kid might see.
But ChatGPT, if you do not turn the setting off, it does collect your chats and use them for training. So it is collecting data.
Yeah, I wonder if that's the data I don't know. I don't know.
They're talking about personal information
Right.
and things that could identify the child or his location or whatever. Yeah.
Right.
Historically,
go ahead.
Historically, we had the MPAA. The MPAA is an association. It is not a governmental body. It is a clearinghouse that you put your film into or your TV show into, and that says it has these items in it, and we've categorized these items to not go above this age level. And so you pay for that service, and it really frustrates you because I had a friend that put his movie through that system. It's in Studio City. It's a very awkward little place in a building right there at the 405. And he got back, well, she's smoking in your movie. He spent $10,000 so he could lower the age limit and eliminate the smoking. So we did a CG thing where the character all of a sudden just had her hand sitting here, and then the cigarette had been blurred out. But that allowed him to lower his level of an acceptable rating that had been, and this is where I'm going to let Tamara, spin this for me a little bit better. But the MPAA, how do you understand that historically in the Hollywood filter system?
Historically, it was created by Hollywood in response so that they would not be censored further. So it is an answer to that. Every major studio has a standards and practices. You hand in a script, it goes through all of your regular people, and then an entire standards and practices group who tells you how many times you've said things, and you arbitrate out what you want to. So independent filmmakers have to also be aware of that if they want to show if they want to distribute their picture regionally or internationally, of what each of those laws are. And those laws are different from country to country. So you actually have to be thinking about what it's going, if you want to release in China, they have their own set of laws. But our rating system was a response to complete censorship and saying we don't want the government to handle that for us, and we will do that on our own, and we will set standards that will meet everybody's expectations. So that's where that came from.
That raises,
but it's like $3,000 to run your film through their system.
It's expensive.
It raises another interesting question, which goes back to who's making the rules, which is
there you go.
You know, can this? I'm pretty sure we don't want the rules to be made on a company by company basis. I'm not entirely sure that we want them made on a country by country basis, and I'm almost positive we don't want them made universally. You know, as a, you know, so I don't know what the answer to that is. I'm not sure how we decide who gets to make these rules.
This is the Wild West right now.
We better make the rules before the AI makes the rules for itself. Right. That's one thing I know. All right, guys, I have a problem. I need help, please.
Help.
All right, so here's my issue.
You, Dave.
Thanks. I'm an impatient man. I always have been. I'm just, if the person in front of me is just driving a little too slow, it drives me just enough to change lanes and get in front of them. I'm not a patient person. But the issue, and this popped into my head today, is when I'm trying to help someone with technology, I'm not patient like I should be. And the truth of the matter is that my gift and blessing in life is that lots of stupid things come relatively easy to me. So I'm mediocre at lots of things. I'm not exceptional at one thing. And I'll take that any day. Like, I'm fine with that. I sleep fine. But so because of that, this technology stuff, like I press enough buttons and I figure it out eventually. And it's infuriating to me when someone asks me a question that I'm going to just turn around and Google the answer for. And that, you know, okay. I vibe coded an app, and on the success screen, after parents use it to order lunch or whatever they're doing, on the success screen at the top, in a colored box, it says, screenshot this page. It has your confirmation code on it, and you can look up your orders later. I've gotten no less than 4 to 5 people saying, how do I see what I ordered? And I'm making it sound like they're old people, but these are younger than me. Like,
You're asking them to do something that's fairly sophisticated. It requires a mental framework.
Yeah.
No, you have to understand that most people don't think the screen is a picture. They don't see it that way.
Oh, people take screenshots all the time. Come on.
No, lots of people do.
You do.
Lots of people do, and some people
I've had
to
show my wife what a screenshot is, first of all, and do it in front of her and say, look, this menu you have right in front of you, I can capture that and put it in your photos. She goes, really? And then we're at phase 1. Okay, now you can do it, and you know it can be done.
I'm not trying to be insensitive. I was just staring at me that whole time. Sorry. I'm not trying to be insensitive to people.
No.
We live
but your
in
patience has to do with how much willing you put yourself in their shoes. And that brings the patience.
That I don't do well at all. That I don't do that well at all.
Drivers in the other cars, you're not imagining that they've just had a terrible day.
I don't care what their day was like. They're bothering me with their technology
That's
questions.
the thing. They're in my way.
But it's not. But I don't think you're having a problem with their technology questions. I think you're having a problem with what you perceive to be common sense, because you're like, I have given it to you.
Yeah,
I gave you directions. Yes. Why haven't you done it?
So it's both. It's both.
But here's the thing. I think the problem that you're having is that
Elmo? Why is everyone running Elmo in the chat?
We have developed
Elmo.
Oh, Elmo. Oh. Sorry. Sorry, it's my yarmulke. I
love that so much.
I got so distracted by the Elmos.
Mark.
Okay, I'm sorry, Tamara, I interrupted you.
No, I was going to say the thing is, you're also dealing with a society that now, whenever you order anything online, it automatically sends you in a message and says, do you want to put it into your wallet? Press this button. So you're dealing with people who are not reading, which is very, very frustrating when you've given them the answer.
Yeah.
People who do not have the technical capability to do what you're asking them to do, which is more people than I know you want it to be. And two, I mean, three, we are trained to do something else with that kind of information.
I think there's a bigger issue, though. Can I just put out one bigger issue, and then I'll stop talking, I promise. The bigger issue for me is that we live in a world today where one of the greatest commodities, I'm not sure if that's the right word, one of the greatest skills that you can have is the ability to ask good questions and then seek out the answers. And it's so frustrating to me when we have the tools, everybody, there are always exceptions, but by and large, everyone I'm dealing with has the tools to figure this out, but they're just too damn lazy. That's what it is.
No, they're being trained. No, they're being trained because marketing people don't want you to think; they want you to react. And so we are in a competitive, cumulative scenario where we are not expected to think. And that's why critical thinking, and this is why you as an educator are a unique human. You think differently than the masses. And so you are now living in a world that you think everybody thinks the way you think. Surprise!
I don't think they do. I think they should.
Well, how many wars have been fought over that question?
David.
Go ahead, Lois.
I'm on the side of yes.
Lois is going to set me straight.
I think we're coming back to something that we frequently come back to on this show, and that is assuming that it's a unitary thing. Everybody is the same. You had 5 people who couldn't get a screenshot out of how many hundred that have used this thing. So there is a small percentage of people who don't understand what that means. There's another percentage of the people who don't read it. They make an assumption about what's going to happen. I think you need to acknowledge it. And if you do not want to deal with the 5 people who can't take a screenshot, then change the way the form is. Let's say, click this button and I'll send it to you.
Of course. But again, so let me just, and then we can put this to rest. But one of the things that I'm teaching the kids that in my programs is problem solving. Okay? So if I see a screen that says, hey, take a screenshot of this because it has your confirmation code on it, and I don't know how to take a screenshot of it, maybe I write it down. Maybe I take a picture of it on my husband's phone or my wife's phone. I mean,
or I can solve the problem by just asking David.
Or you can call the kid.
And that will be quicker, and that will be.
But that's what I'm getting at, and maybe I feel like this is sort of, the new learning tool in ChatGPT and the one from oh goodness, help me out, the educational website, Khan Academy. Those 2 LLMs, trained LLMs, don't give you the answer. They will not give you the answer. They do not. They won't offer tech support in that way. They help you find the answer.
Yes.
And that's and so.
That's a privileged response,
it's
though.
Not laziness. But I have to tell you,
it's not laziness. I mean, that's a privileged response, I have to say, because if you don't have time to do the research and to go down and deep dive, you and I spend so many hours of our day doing other things.
You don't need to research this. Just find a solution.
They did find a solution. They just not the solution you want.
No, you're right. Okay, so there's the
kicker. They did find a solution.
You're right. You're right.
Or they didn't, and they never got the confirmation code.
They were like, you know what? David will tell me.
No, you're right. Tamara's
there
right.
For me.
They did right, and that's my source of frustration. You're right. They did find a solution. I was their solution, and in fairness, I've also sort of told them that I mean I've showed them that I can be their solution, because whenever they email me with
let
this
them.
question, I answer the damn question.
So you're not upset with them.
And you
And you
shamed them.
spoiled
You
them.
told them how dumb they are.
No, I
I
don't.
think
No,
that's a
I
good
don't tell them how
encouragement.
dumb they are. But you know what I do, Sky? And honest to
You
goodness,
scowl.
no.
You throw them.
I'm
Stop that.
so this is, the Jewish high holidays are coming up, so this is a good time for me to, right? Instead of just I always answer the question, but instead of just answer the question, what I write is, hey, on the confirmation page, there was this code that you could
Good.
screenshot. Here's the
Good.
code.
Yes.
Good. Or write
So
down.
you're
Maybe-
training them
There's
how
a
to.
little snark in there, though.
There it is.
If there's a little
I was gonna say,
snark
and then
in
you-
there, right?
Then you turn to your wife and tell her all about.
Right. I didn't need to say, dummy. It was right there. Whatever.
You can take that and put it into ChatGPT, and it will write it for you in a way
that's
that
what I
will
should
get
do.
your point across.
You're
that will
right.
There it is.
Without
You can
being
do
snarky.
a video to teach them how to take a screenshot. Of course, then you'd have to do one for Mac, one for Windows,
Yeah.
one for the phone, one for a tablet, because it's not the same for everybody. I don't even know how to take a screenshot on my phone.
And it's a new app,
you-
right? So it's something that you are going through that training process with people.
Training.
Also,
The
the
other thing-
people
the
that
other
were
thing that-
asking you weren't the kids that were coming to class.
Tony.
It's Tony's time.
I just
No,
want to say, Dave
I
keeps
just-
pointing up. I have no idea who he's pointing at. Oh, in the 6 up. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Tony, you know what you need, Tony, to get your attention? An Elmo yarmulke. Then you'd get our attention.
I have a perfect spot for it too.
My bald spot, as my bald spot grows, my yarmulkes have to get bigger too, to cover the bald spot.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tony.
I was just
Golden
going to say that one of the things that I think is extremely important for all of us to remember, that most regular people, look at their phone as a phone, occasional camera, and something to play games on. And we recognize that it's a computer that fits in the pocket and that it can do all of these amazing things. But most people care nothing about that. They see it as a phone, something to take pictures with, selfies, get on the internet, go to social media. So they're not going to get it. They're not going to get it because the way in which they look at that device. And that's what you have to recognize, that they are not these people that you interact with on the rundown, on Zoom Test Kitchen. They just are not those people. And when you recognize that, then you begin to understand, and it will help you with your patients too, that it's an entertainment device. It's not something that can be used as a tool.
You know what else people don't know how to do that I've noticed lately? They don't know how to go to a website. Every time they try and go to a website, they end up searching for the website. Google, it then comes up as the first response in Google, and then they click on it. Nobody knows how to type a URL into an Omnibox anymore.
There you go with the nobodies again. Some of us know.
Some of us know.
All right, the 6 of us do. Vic actually had, I think, this is perfect. So Vic says, "I'm happy to give you your confirmation number. Would you like me to show you how to get it yourself?"
That's so
Yes,
lovely.
nice.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's right.
Go
Yeah.
team.
Give that guy a gold star.
So Gary,
Oh,
and Gary says, have the program email them the code. So here's the problem with that, Gary. I've gone down that road. That requires a third-party service like Resend, which is fine, but then I have another $20 a month payment that I have to make. And getting all those emails to work with the domains, it's just not as easy as just having a stupid confirmation number. All right, let's move on.
So one last thing, David.
All right, go ahead.
You can change the wording. So say, take a picture of this screenshot or write it down.
Okay, wait a second.
Solved.
I'm pulling it up right now.
This actually dovetails right into design because
does.
I have
Oh,
more
very
frustration
much.
with the poor design of websites, forms, and other stuff. And today I was booking a flight with my travel agent, and I was amazed at how good she was at her forms. Now, this is what she does all day. But at the same time, I was looking at the forms going, those things make complete sense. And the guy who built these layers for her to work through had figured out that once she's put the information about me here, it can also go here and here. She doesn't have to retype it on every field. And I just thought, who designed this? I want them to win a gold star too. But I've been on government websites where you can't figure out where the area is and how to get to it. And you have to go in circles first. I've been there. Why are you sending me there? I don't see it here. Yeah. Okay. So
I know there is
everywhere. Yeah.
a designer on Ticketmaster that uses my name in vain because I do not understand something as simple as Ticketmaster. My son and my daughter, click, click, click.
Can't do it. Yeah.
Poor Sky. All right, let's set the scene here. So there was our favorite, Tamara, my favorite TikToker and YouTuber, did a piece on why he thinks there was such a odd response to GPT-5. Tamara, do you want to kind of sum it up for folks?
Well, he basically said, and we basically figured out, is that ChatGPT 5 assumed that it was smarter and it was easier for people to have the chat figure out which is the best version to use between 3.0 and 4.0. Like it became very convoluted. Nobody, even if you ask them now, majority of the people don't even know that 3 was actually higher than 4, right? And when they rolled it out, they came out as a very, they took all of kind of the niceties out of ChatGPT and made it very, much more of a transactional experience than a personalized experience. And so the question is that do these things, did they overestimate what their audience wanted out of what ChatGPT was offering?
Well, I would say not just overestimate, did they just get it wrong?
Yeah.
Right? Was their vision of what that particular tool was supposed to be, is that what we all wanted? And when this topic first came up, the first thing I thought about was actually Steve Jobs, Apple, and the iPhone, because none of us knew that we needed an iPhone before there was an iPhone.
Until we had one,
right,
then we couldn't live without.
And what's sometimes I struggle with this actually in the context of religion also, because on the one hand, the rabbi wants to live to the highest expectations, and wants to sort of the reason the rabbi or the priest or the imam puts themselves on a pulpit and physically higher than others is symbolic. It's because we believe that we are living a holy life and we want to lift others up. The flip side of the coin is maybe we should be meeting people where they are. And so here we have technology that has its own vision of what it's meant for, how it should work, what it should be doing. And we have a completely different set of expectations or needs or wants or what have you. The difference with the iPhone is in that, and I think it's a rare case, the technology told us. It didn't have to come down to us. We rose to it.
That's not 100% true.
No?
iPhone 1, no one needed. It was an iPod with a phone. People did not need the iPhone until they had the App Store,
Tamara,
which was in
line.
second version.
Are you kidding me?
Right, but again.
No, it's not quite that way because I didn't buy the first iPhone. But when I saw him demonstrate that it had an interface that could change, that I said was a new paradigm. And I tried to explain it to a lot of people. If you can change how the phone operates by changing the app you're using,
don't need a
then you have a possibility to do things. Yeah, there's no keyboard.
But
well, okay, that's a big failure because you need a keyboard. Well, yes, but you don't need a keyboard on everything. And when the buttons move to where they belong instead of are fixed in a set, and when the screen is big enough for you to actually read things, I watch people work with their Blackberries and they were passionate about them, but they could not change how it worked.
Right. And again,
But
my point in
App
that,
Store came in the
and that is
second
exactly why they
version.
didn't want to change.
and there he froze.
I go with that.
The point in bringing the iPhone up, at least for me, was that that was a strange case in which the tech changed us, not we changed the tech. And here,
this is my first prop that confirms that. Right?
Okay, go ahead, talk to us.
Well, nobody knew they wanted music as they walked around the world until they got it. They had music at home, they had music in the car, and maybe on the fridge in the kitchen, but they didn't have it in their ears when they went for a walk in the woods. And it makes the world so romantic when you have music while you're doing something normal. And this did change people's perception of what was possible. It did modify and correct itself for ease of use and access to the thing and not screwing up, eating your tapes. But that was one of the first for me that said, hey, I have a whole new world experience, my own personal experience that is unique. And it came
And
to
what
me
is
through
that
being able
thing?
to carry my music.
What is
This
that?
is a Sony Walkman.
Okay.
You plugged earphones in, put them in your ears, or put it around your head those days.
Wait, there's a plug for earphones?
Yeah.
Really? That's so.
You're
And
dating
you put
yourself,
a cassette
David.
in here.
Look at that thing.
Yeah.
So cassettes are coming back apparently. How stupid.
And then
The other prop I brought,
somehow we
the
went
other
from
prop I
that to a
bought-
CD player.
this changed photography. This is a quick
Oh yeah.
Take 100, and it was made by Kodak for Apple, and it had a sensor inside here that was really good at 480 by 270 or something. It didn't have a whole lot of pixels, but it had a flash and all. And what this did is it showed people that your camera could be just a computer in a box and a lens on the front. And then we took this and shrank it even further and further and further until it's now in your iPhone, and it has enormous capacity. I use this actually at a university to take pictures for websites and stuff, and it worked pretty darn good. But we all know, of course, having a digital camera, Nikon decided to make it really, really good, and that killed Kodak's ideas. But these are the things that they pushed out to us, and we kind of went, yeah, I don't need a phone. I've got a BlackBerry. I'm good. And then it changed because it was solving problems we forgot about. I hated my phone until I had an iPhone that you could actually hear me on.
Right. The Sony Watchman, which was my 13-year-old prize possession, with a little 1-inch black and white screen TV, was way ahead of its time because I don't think that really evolved into anything until we got the iPhone and we had video there.
The Sony, holy moly!
Look it up. I love it. I still have it.
Sony Watchman. I remember this now.
It's a little
Watch TV
1-inch
on it,
screen.
yes.
I snuck it into my 8th grade bathroom so that I could watch a soap opera.
You could sit on
Wedding.
a bus and watch TV, yeah.
And the Mega Watchman. But you know
I
what's,
have the little
what's
guy.
interesting about this technology is that there's not much that you it was a utility. That is to say, there's
Right.
not much that you can change. So back in these days, technologists made something that had maybe single use, and then we used it for single use. Nowadays, we're seeing a different kind of technology. We're seeing a technology
Right.
that we can really mold and create into what we're looking for. Lois, go ahead.
So I want to talk about this topic from the consumer's point of view. So I suddenly figure out that something exists that I never knew about. Maybe I just didn't know about it. Maybe it's brand new and it could do something. So I figured out what it could do and what I could use it for, I got it. And then I started using it to do the thing that I wanted to do. And I didn't bother trying to figure out what else I could do with it. It was accomplishing my task. And that's wonderful. So either I tell my friends this is wonderful and I recommend it, or I don't like it, so I stop using it. But at some point, the object gets upgraded, and finally it's upgraded so much it's doing all these other things that everybody else wants it to do, and it's not doing the thing I was having it do in the first place. And then, well, then I have to go around and look for a different program or app or whatever and start all over again.
So
I think-
the Swiss Army knife is more than just a knife.
It's a
And
screwdriver.
it's a toothbrush. It's a, it's many things. So can one tool do everything? Well, maybe not. But again, manufacturers need to continue to sell something to stay in existence. So that's where marketing people have to tell the audience what they want and what they're missing, how much better their life is going to be. If they don't have it, they're going to die. So these are all techniques of, marketing and capitalism. That was the magic word. So as we continue to, find value in these different items, I like, Lois, your point is you are choosing what you want these tools to make your life better. And this is the critical thinking that I hope we collectively are really looking into, not just a better way to sell something. And with that, I'm off to my people group meeting.
All right.
Thank you, Sky.
Thank you
Thanks.
for letting me
I'm
come
thinking-
back.
I'm thinking also about hashtags and how powerful the idea of hashtags were and are. When they were invented on Twitter to help group conversations, and then not only did Twitter resist initially, but built them into the platform. And just think about how vital hashtags are nowadays for search.
Well, they're a cultural phenomenon now.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And that's not
What's a hashtag?
what?
It's the pound sign on your typewriter.
Right, but what's a hashtag in your internet use?
What movie?
Well,
What movie does the main character not know what a hashtag is? In what movie?
I haven't made that movie yet, but you could count me.
It's one of the like White House Down movies or something like that, where he has to put in a passcode and they say hash, and he has no idea what a hashtag what the hashtag is.
And I say pound sign, and people don't know what I mean.
Right.
That's
It's
right.
Control 3 or Command 3.
But really, seriously, what is a hashtag? How do
Well,
you
it's
use
a way
it? What's
of-
its purpose?
it's a way of indicating that this subject line might be interesting to you. So when
So
it's
it's a
on
keyword?
it's a
Yes,
keyword,
like a
yes.
keyword. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Keyword with the pound sign in front of it. And if you looked up just that, you would have everybody who has used that will come up. So you
Okay.
can look for them.
So it creates a community of people around that word. Yeah.
And again, that's not what it was created for. And we changed it. That was not the technology's vision, and we changed it.
Yeah.
I think one of the problems with what happened with ChatGPT 5 was their response to it, which is what really was more problematic than them coming out and realizing that everybody didn't like it. Because immediately people were like, I want it to be more friendly with me. And then we get from Sam Altman, isn't it sad that people are talking to their ChatGPTs and that is their only friend? And I think that to me is was kind of the sign of, yes, that may be true, but you have just told your audience who has told you personal information about how they use your product that's not how you think it should be used, and it's sad that they do. That to me was the bigger thing, and ultimately they ended up putting it back to a degree.
You know what else so that what you just said there, that they kind of rolled it back, also brings up this whole idea of upgrading, and when I mean, anytime, Apple right now is getting ready for its big iOS 20 and Mac OS 26 reveal. And you can jump on the public beta right now, and things look pretty different. Some people love it, some people hate it. There are going to be lots of people who just lose their mind over it, but we lose our minds every time something changes, because if it's working, and you get used to it, any little upgrade can just ruin your day. What do you think it is? Is it true? So what Nate said in this TikTok that kind of spurred this whole conversation is that some people like a dumber AI. They don't want the smarter AI. They want the dumber, more personal.
They're comfortable
AI.
with it. Yeah,
that's
what they.
But it's not just comfort.
Is that a thing?
I think it talks up to what our tech therapy was like too. Some people simply don't need more. They need it to do what they need it to do. And so, just because it can do more and we kind of can see the possibilities of it, just doesn't mean that people interact with it that way. We've kind of are proving that people are interacting with it like it's an advanced Google, that's at its lowest form of what it's good at. So I think that that's part of it. When you introduce something that is so vastly different, you have to be training to the people who are going to use it, and you've got to scaffold that training just like you would any kind of lesson that says you can do this with it. And if you look at how they have done it, you used to just ask a question and it would answer. Now it scaffolds you. It says, would you like me to do this with your answer? Because it's giving you possibility. It's saying, I'm going to tell you what's possible, and you can say yes or no or ask a different question. And that's how you introduce new products and how you get people to a higher level. But having a GPT that does programs for the average person who is not needing a program to do anything, that doesn't solve their problem.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily stupidity. It's that they don't know what it can do, and your job is you've already thought about what is possible, and that's what you're programming towards, what is possible, and pushing the boundary of what's possible now, what might be possible. If this is possible, then that might be possible. But your average user doesn't mean they're stupid. It doesn't mean they're lazy. It really means that they don't have that same ability, given that they're not programmers. They don't know what's possible. And part of rolling out a new product is making sure that people understand its value. And you have to get its value by going to where they are and then offering them a little bit more. And then sooner or later, they're going to be telling you what they wish it would do.
Yep. Lois, go ahead.
So when you talk about people not using the tool to its capacity, imagine the library. Now, we have a library in town. It's a wonderful library. It does all sorts of different things. I only check out books. That's it. There's all those other things that I've never used, and I'm not interested in learning about. When you're talking about interacting with an AI, the words that it's coming back at you with can be snooty. They can be uppity. They can be words that are $5 words when you could easily do it with a 2-bit word. And so not everyone enjoys learning lots of fancy words. And so having something that can talk to you in the tone that you like, I think is very important. So I'm hoping that the AIs that exist will be able to hear the question and go, okay, well, they don't have lots of big words in the question, so maybe I won't say lots of big words in the answer, but I'll give them an option. Would you like, a more detailed answer? Would you like a scientific result? So anyway, I don't know where that's going.
I love big words, but I've felt totally and completely different interacting with ChatGPT. Physically, my body felt different interacting with it. When it was more casual and calm, I could just turn to it, ask a little part of a question, because it didn't just change, how you interact with, like how it sounds to you, but you have to actually prompt 5 differently than you prompted 4 or 3. You could just kind of, after, I felt like I had like a buddy in my room, and I could just be like, hey, what's the answer to this problem? Or remember that thing we talked about 3 weeks ago? I want to add to it. And it would respond to me, and it felt very casual. And so it became another office buddy. I have my best friend, it became an office buddy. The new one didn't do that.
I used chat to help me prompt for Lovable for the what do you call it, the vibe coding, and I found that 5.0 is actually too good, and therefore, that is to say, it gets too deep and too detailed, and therefore the prompts are not as good for Lovable because it's just given me too much information. Which is an interesting piece. You know what else you all had me thinking about was Zoom, and how we all, specifically us, repurposed Zoom and have pushed Zoom to become something that I don't think it was ever intended to become, and to Zoom's benefit also, because of a lot of the pushing that we did, and thank goodness for people like Andy who heard that pushing and then were able to act on it. Zoom is now a regular tool that's used in broadcast and professional broadcast, and that was never on the radar screen before, I don't think. Again, that tension between what is the technology's intent and the consumer's demand or need or want, or how do we mold technology to our needs, is really fascinating.
I wanted to do one more prop, and I'll finish here. This is a laser disc that has a movie on it, and a lot of people who had these didn't really know what was possible. It just looks like normal TV. This is what's possible, and it was driven by the industry to get to here. They always had this in mind, but they couldn't do it, so they had this. This is actually analog. This is not digital. This is digital. This has 2 movies on it, and easily better than the other. Easier for a person to use, too. And, people had 1212 flashing on their VCRs forever, because programming it to do this time of day so that you could program a recording when you're not there, they just didn't want to do it.
What I want to talk about one day? I want to talk about dumb technology, because like VCRs or DVD players, rather, printers are dumb technology. Like, why is it so hard to print?
I was told once that they wanted to make the computer really simple to use, and they wanted to make the phone simple to use, but having failed that, they made the phone more complicated so that the computer would look simple.
Right. There's some really dumb technology out there that's frustrating, but...
Well, there was prototype, like Sony did. They put something out there and thought, maybe people would try, like having music with them. And then suddenly everybody agreed. And suddenly the iPod is, all the iPods before the iPod, all of the players were fast off the shelf because people saw what the benefit was immediately. And like the phone that does a web page that plays music and takes pictures and shows TV, well, gee, I want that because it's better than what I had before. It's mobile. And I wasn't mobile with my desktop or laptop. Well, my laptop is pretty mobile, but I can't carry it around in the bus.
So have you ever been at the house, needed a hammer, didn't have one, used a back of a screwdriver or got the meat mallet out and used that? I mean, sometimes
you've seen my axe, right? You remember
you have to do what you need to do, even if it wasn't intended that way.
Right.
Oh yeah.
And the best technology, I think, is tech that is flexible enough and responsive enough to be able to be used in different ways like that, I think.
Well, assistive technology makes your computer available to people who aren't going to be capable of operating it the way you do. And assistive technology has been one of the great things. And generative AI is helping all kinds of disabled people.
Yeah.
Especially with voice and all the rest. You can program a voice in there and then it speaks for you. Much better than the speak and spells that you had before.
Yep. Okay. I want to end, but I need to give all of you some homework for next week.
Oh.
Yes. Your homework is
Intriguing.
to either, if you want to show off like Dave and have props, that's fine, but you don't have to. What is one piece of technology that has changed your life? One thing, technological thing that has changed. And I'm not talking, whatever, something like something that's really impacted your
I
your
know
life.
what it is already.
That's
yes.
what
my
we're,
homework
that's
is
what we're
done. My homework's done.
That's what we're
David,
going to
mine
talk
is
about
too.
next week. Go ahead.
David,
Yeah.
are you talking about during our life, some new technology came out? Or are you
Yeah.
talking about we grew up and suddenly we saw, oh, there's a TV?
No. Well, even that
A
changed
new
your life, didn't it?
technology during
Yeah.
our life, right?
Either or. Yeah, either or.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can go back that far.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I'm so grateful to Vic who's been watching and chatting up, and Joe and Sky and I'm Fatness and that's me. And Brody is here, and Hershey, Gary Lund, good to see all of you. Thank you all for being here. And thank you to my amazing friends here for this was fun. I really enjoyed tonight. This was a great conversation. Thank you all so much. We are here every Thursday, and you are always invited to be with us. It's great to see all of you. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next Thursday on The Rundown. Bye, everyone.